Hi, Karen Miller here. Before I start this video, I wanted to apologize for my last video about continuing Dr. Sebi's legacy. The video was a bit choppy, so I wanted to apologize for that, and this is not going to happen again. So in my last video, I talked about continuing Dr. Sebi's legacy with fasting and eating once a day. So I wanted to say, I don't want people to get the wrong idea about this. This is not something that you can do overnight. It took me 13 years to get to this point where I am eating once a day and fasting all day and then having one meal a day. There was a lot of backsliding. There were times when I would start the process, the transition, and I would not succeed. I mean, I remember some years ago I decided to stop eating meat after I had fasted for a week, and I went back to my old ways. And I think this happened twice. I said that I wasn't going to eat meat anymore, that I wasn't going to eat pork and chicken and all these meats, because I mean, I have to say, pork and chicken was some of my favorite meats, and I think I had succeeded in doing it for about 6 months, and then I went back to doing it. So I'm not saying that this is something easy to do, but you have to start somewhere. And since our food system is so contaminated, it's so adulterated, they're tampering with foods, they're tampering with the animals, they're doing genetic engineering. I know that this is not easy. So this is why it's a process. It's a transitional process, and you might not succeed at your first go at it. But if you're determined and you set some goals, you will succeed. And it might take a year, it might take 2 years. It took me 13 years, where I'm at a point where I'm not just eating foods that are organic. I'm at a point where I'm eating foods that are totally natural, that was not tampered with in any way, not any hybrid foods and not GE foods. So you can start out eating foods that are organic and foods that are not genetically engineered. But then it might take you some time before you get to the point where you will start eating foods that are non-hybrids. And of course, that would narrow your choices. But again, when you're eating once a day, it doesn't matter, because you don't have to have a lot of choices. So what I wanted to say regarding Dr. Sebi and his legacy is that I think what he did for us as Black people, and by the way, he didn't just help Black people, he helped people of many races. So, but I really want to focus on Black people, because I think most of us don't understand what is really going on and how they want to get rid of us. They want to kill us. I mean, in 1973 or 74, I think it was, Henry Kissinger, at the time he was the National Security Advisor, he was coming up with some plan to about population control. And we have to keep this in mind. I believe that genetic engineering is a way for these people with power to try to regulate and try to control people of color. So I said I was going to explain a little bit about what genetic engineering is. Genetic engineering is not like how they did selective breeding many years ago. Genetic engineering is about tampering with genes, tampering with the DNA, which is very dangerous. And they're doing things nowadays with genetic engineering that is just, it's immoral when you think about it. It's immoral because they're taking different species. They are taking different species, because now they are taking genes from humans and inserting it into pigs, for instance, to create organs for transplant. This is one thing that they're doing. Another thing that they have done, which I don't think a lot of people know about, is that they are taking, there is a virus called the sarcoma virus. It's a virus that causes cancer in poultry. And what they have done, they have taken this virus, they have genetically engineered that virus and inserted it into fish so that the fish would grow bigger. So now I ask myself, why do we need to have fish that is big? We never asked them for big fish. We, the consumer, never asked for big fish. But they have taken it upon themselves, I don't know, like Frankenstein, creating experiments in a lab to remove a gene from a virus that causes cancer in poultry, in chicken, and insert it into fish. So this is something that is going on in labs all over the world with these biotechnological companies, and we have to be aware of that, because when you eat these foods, you have no idea the long-term effect on your bodies. And I don't think we're going to know anytime soon. I think it's going to be another 50 years or so before we know the results of this genetic engineering. So genetic engineering is when they take genes from one organism and insert it into another organism, looking for a specific trait. So they would identify a specific trait from one organism that they like and put it into another organism so that that organism would function in a certain way. This is basically what genetic engineering is. And it's different from selective breeding, which was done for 300 years now, where you put species that are alike. You're still trying to look for a specific trait that you like. You're still trying to have a result for a specific thing that you like, but it was done between the same species. Now they're taking different species. So they would take the gene from the salmon and insert it into the tomato so that the tomato would be able to withstand cold weather, for instance. So this is very dangerous. And the whole point about not eating GE foods is that we don't know how it would affect us as humans in the long run. And there are people out there who think, scientists and other people who think that now, because you have so many diseases, the cancers and the high blood pressure and obesity, etc., they believe that it's because of genetically engineered foods that we are eating, and we don't really know how it's affecting us. We don't